What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and I'm here with Rejaku, Silver, and GeauxBurns, and we are going to do the international podcast, the Switch and Red Dead Edition. Since both of those trailers dropped, as Silver just told me, within probably 5 minutes of one another. Is that right?
No, well, Go says it was an hour away from each other. I thought it was an hour around the same time, but I'm probably mistaken.
So since they dropped really close to one another, I did a little bit about Red Dead, but we're going to cover that at the end as well. We're just going to jump into this. I apologize. There's a DDoS attack in America, and so if you see some issues with Skype that don't involve us being stupid, that is the technical issue. Everything else is just us being dumb. So we're just going to jump into it. We're not going to talk about games we've been playing. We're just going to talk distinctly about, these two announcements and what we think about them. So the first thing, our thoughts about the trailer. It's or about the, what would you call that? It's not. It was announcement video, I guess. Go. What did you think when you saw the Switch announcement video?
Well, I've been excited about the possibility of a new console for Nintendo for some time now. Hopefully, something better than the last two so-called consoles. And I was sitting there going like, what? What is this? You're playing it, then all of a sudden you can pull it out and you can take it with you, and then you can take little controllers and then you and your friend can play with it. And I had to watch it a few times before it started really kind of clicking with me about what I was witnessing. And I gotta say something, I'm quite excited about the new Nintendo console. And I think, like we said before the podcast, it's going to take a little getting used to call it the Nintendo Switch, because I think we just love the code names like the Revolution, NX, but I can see why it's called the Switch, because you can switch it up, and maybe there's a little subliminal message there about wanting people to switch to the new Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. Switch to us. What about you, Silver?
Yeah, it was basically what I had anticipated the console would be, more or less. My impression of it was that it's basically taking the best parts of the Wii U, like the Wii U tablet, the best parts of the Wii U tablet, and going a steps further from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you when you saw it? I'm sure. I don't know if you watched the announcement more than once, but when you saw it, were you like, "Oh, this is what I want," or you say it was what you expected, but you didn't really say is what you expected good
that's
or bad?
Good. It's good. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm interested in it.
Gotcha.
Very interested to see what they do with it.
Okay. What about you, Rejaku?
Well, my first impression was pretty positive. I thought, yep, that's pretty much what I want. A replacement for my 3DS, sort of, because that's my highest used mobile device. But then when I took a closer look at the controllers, I was getting doubts, because they look rather cramped when you take them off, or little thumbsticks. Yeah. They look very fiddly.
So you would say mediocre once you looked at it?
It started high and got a little lower, seeing the controllers. Also,
they do have the Pro controller.
Yeah, that's what I'll probably get.
Yeah, the Pro controllers, sure.
So
but the one that come with it, also that big, ugly controller thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say that I went from being not at all interested to hyper interested for various reasons. I agree with the cramped controller. I saw that and I was like, "Damn, son." And they're like, "Oh, we've got a Pro controller." I really don't give a shit about Pro controllers. I think that what matters is what you get, not a peripheral. I think a peripheral is great, but I would have liked a better design on those, because they're cramped as shit. And they show a picture where a person, it looks like you're playing one of those Tamagotchis or whatever, the little, or the Dreamcast, its little VR or VMR or whatever that thing was. But overall, I have to say, I saw it, and it didn't take me multiple views. I was instantly like, "Oh shit, that's pretty much what the rumors have been." But that's actually looks pretty cool. I also think that Nintendo knows how to do their commercials to make you feel like you'll be much more popular than you'll ever be in real life. They're like, "Come on over to the rooftop party. You have $100,000 in your bank account." The shit they're showing, she opens the window, and the other persons are like, they can see her. They like ESP. They know she's there, and they're like, "Hi, we see you 2 blocks away," and then she shows up. That kind of stuff, or the stuff where they just put down their basketball. They're like, "You know what? Physical sports are stupid. Let's play. Let's stop this pickup game. Let's go sit here on the picnic table."
Yeah.
Picnic table.
Or esports team training on the floor beforehand.
I love that shit. I love that shit. I love it because, Microsoft, Sony, by the way, do the same thing. Like it's all about that presentation of making the nerd appear the social phobia of nerds, which is that not being the popular person in the group. Suddenly this will make you, the guy who carries one. And I'm surprised they didn't have like the guy in the tuxedo with like his little controller in his hand walking through a party. Some people are on the corner. They're not picking up chicks or dudes. They're not drinking their Cristal. They're playing, this Switch. And he's like, that would have been me. That's what the last cut. That what I would have put into the commercial. I was excited about it. I think that interestingly enough, the idea to not go super powerful could be quite scary for a newcomer or Nintendo, somebody coming into the gen. But I actually feel like what they've chosen to do is pretty friggin' cool, and sort of captures both groups. And let's be honest, it is Wii U and Wii magnified. You can see a lot of the design elements in a pyramid. It's like what they tried with the Wii, and then what they tried with the Wii U, and now you have the Switch. And I think that's cool. It took them 3 times.
Yeah, it's an evolution.
It's like the original Xbox and the Xbox 360. There was such an increase in the quality, but there were the original ideas that we saw, and I love that. I think that's great. So let's talk a little bit about design. I'm not going to go first because I'll probably have the most to say about it. So we'll go back the other way around. Rejaku, you talked about the controllers. Feel free to talk more. What do you think? Just any of your thoughts about the design?
Bland, I guess, would be the first impression. But it's not necessarily negative, because something like the Wiiu, for example, is like very, very toy-like and cheap. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a step up from that. But not competing in design with the other consoles. At least, there's the Xbox One Slim, for example, looks much sleeker.
Gotcha.
I think.
Gotcha. What do you think?
But overall, it's not too bad.
You hated the big controller thing?
I hated the big controller, yes.
Yeah.
I think the console and the base station for it looks all right. That's perfectly fine. But I do have an issue with the controller, no matter the configuration.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is not something you'd slide into your fucking cargo pants. It's like you'd have a hard time getting that through airport screening, motherfuckers, let alone into your cargo pants. That shit was crazy. What do you think about the design when it's just sitting there? Are you a fan of vertical? Are you a fan of horizontal games? Okay, yes, you are a fan of vertical systems. Okay,
yes,
gotcha. So that, aside from being somewhat boxy like an Xbox One original, I guess, you found it just sort of like just there. You weren't like, oh great. You were just like, there it is. That's a Switch. Like not.
Yeah. I think for Nintendo it's a step up.
Gotcha. Because
no matter if the Wii, the Wii U, or the 3DS, they all look very plasticky and toy-like.
So this looks more technologically.
And this, yes, exactly.
Right. Very cool. Very cool thoughts. What about you, Silver?
Yeah, I agree with Rejaku. It looks much better than the Wii U. It's much sleeker, much more visually appealing. It's the Wii U is basically just a hard drive just standing there on your shelf.
I never thought about that. That's awesome.
Or a disk drive. So yeah, I really liked it. I really liked the sleek design. I thought the Joy-Cons looked really good as part of the tablet, but once you disconnected them, especially with the two-player, with the two-player functionality they showed, they looked minuscule. I mean, sitting there with that little joypad doesn't seem all that doable to me.
What did you think?
Or all that functional.
As an NES, 3DS, I'm sorry, both of you guys, and go, real quick, do you have a 3DS?
No, I used to have... I think I had one a long time ago, but I gave it to one of my sisters a while back. Okay,
so Silver and Rejaku, as owners of 3DS systems, which are already somewhat small, does it even look smaller than the overall the amount of control elements you have on a 3DS? Does it even look smaller than that? Because I don't have a 3DS in front of me. Does it look like it would be that cramped?
No, not quite that cramped.
Yeah, it looks very similar, I would say.
I would say as well. That's
at least compared to a 3DS XL.
Right,
little bigger one.
Right. So Silver, looking at it, what do you think about the big? To me, it looks just like an Android controller that they sell where you can stretch out the center and you can put any tablet up to 11 inches into it. What do you think about the big tablet thingy when you're walking around? Did you feel the same way as Rejaku? Like, what the shit is that thing? Because it's almost like it looks like a different device.
Not with the tablet, because the tablet basically just kind of an evolved Wii U tablet, and I've gamed on that a bunch, so that doesn't bother me at all. I think the one that's a bit uglier and looks like basically just a giant block is basically the kind of Pro-like version of the Joy-Cons, where they get attached to this block that's attached to this Pro-like skeleton, if you will. That's
a good way of putting it. That's what I'm asking about. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that one wasn't very visually appealing at all, I have to agree. That just looked like a giant block, more or less.
What did you think about just the design itself? Are you a fan of vertical systems? Did you...
I'm not really, whether it's vertical or horizontal doesn't really matter to me at all, but it looks sleek as hell to me.
Okay, so. Gotcha. Very cool. What about you, Go? What did you think when you saw it all?
Well, I pretty much agree with Silver and Reg. I think the system itself looks elegant. It has really nice design to it. It's, like you said, not big and boxy like the original Xbox. And the Joy-Cons, I only see using the Joy-Cons if you have it like on the go and you're just playing on the tablet. Yeah. But I don't think I'd want to play it with another person. I mean, if you're going to have people over to play it on your big, 50, 60 inch TV, that's one thing. But they're trying, have two people racing and Mario Kart with that little thing. I don't know. That just seems like a lot to ask for it. But I, too, would probably prefer having the Pro controller than that other thing, that Pro controller skeleton you can slip the Joy-Cons in. I don't know. It looked weird. So I think I'd shell a little extra money just to get the Xbox One. Discount Pro control for the Nintendo Switch, because I saw that thing like, is that an Xbox One controller?
Yeah.
What
basically is, yeah.
Basically. I mean, that's what it looks like. What you're a fan of vertical systems as well?
I'm a fan of functionality as long as it works, and I don't have any red rings of death like with the Xbox 360, the original version. I'm okay. So vertical, flat, I'm happy as long as it works.
Gotcha. So overall, you'd say, whether taking it out or having it in, you were pretty happy with the overall design of it?
Aside definitely.
From the stuff we've mentioned, like the small.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a great console, and I'm looking forward to playing the new Zelda game and other games that come out on it. And I like the ability to take it with you. I think that's a really cool feature that, I think the gaming industry has been trying to figure out for some time, because it's just hard to get, the portable gaming quality up to the level of gaming consoles. And I think Nintendo's getting a step closer on this.
Yeah. So when it comes to the design for me, I would have to say that that's the one thing I do disagree. I think it looks terrible. Vertical is fine with me, but I think that it just looks like a mopey box sitting there. And because it sits flat to you, or at least they had it sitting flat, and it looked all kinds of odd. And I was trying to think of how it would fit in my home theater system, and where I would put it and how I would then reach in, because a lot of people put their stuff into boxes. So then they would have to reach into the box to unclick. And you have sometimes only that high to between shelves. So I'm like, what the fuck? Now remembering that this is my design, I have design in the background. So that's what I'm thinking of. I'm not thinking of the fact that you could switch those. I'm just saying if you tried to put it where your existing one is. The same situation that happens with the original Xbox and the original Xbox One, where they're massive. So people had issues with those too. When it comes to the design, the only thing I don't mind the big controller thing, because I've seen it with the Android devices. I even have one for my tablet, and it works like shit. I bought it, used it for a day, and hated it because it's too wide. It's literally too wide. It becomes so big that it no longer feels like a portable. It feels like you're holding a fucking CRT TV in your face. I think Nintendo's got a pretty good grasp on it. What I wasn't a big fan of is the placement of the joysticks. I'm not a fan of asynchronous where they're not synced up. I've become such a fan of both thumbsticks being equal. And in that, if you look, they're like this. So the digital pad it's not a pad, sorry. The digital buttons can be right below that. That sort of made me go, I wonder how that's gonna. I've never been a fan of holding something like this. Additionally, I don't know, guys. Like, it's touchscreen. I don't know if you heard. The rumor is from the same people that it is touchscreen as well. It's just that's not where they're not on purpose pushing that because they don't want people to think it's a Wii U kind of stuff. They're just, it's going to be available, but they're not really like telling everybody. And it's not going to be a major component of the system. It's just going to be possible. I like it, but I'm actually not. I wasn't that visually impressed with it. The nice thing is all my stuff will be hidden anyway, so I won't have to worry about it. I'll just have to figure out a way how to unclick it. The one thing I was wondering about is there's this twofold thing with design, which is in modular systems, you have to make the modular system easy enough to unclick that you don't pick up the entire device doing so. But at the same time, it has to be strong enough that it won't break easily. That is going to be the big design factor for me, is like taking those in and out, right? All the time. Is that going to be a weak point? Because in design, if you talk to anybody in design, they're like, man, that shit's difficult to do because it's either easy and you don't lift up the entire base and it's very smooth, but that's a break point and a jiggle point where you get a lot of flex and movement, or it's hard to take out because they built it for strength and reliability. So that's just something from my side. I'm interested. I think it looks the best it could possibly look for this system, though. Is there any other way you could have done this easily if you were going to have this kind of system? And I don't think there is. Don't you guys? I mean, is there any other?
I think you're right on that. Yeah.
For a system where you're going to be able to walk around. Also, I have to give them kudos for the constant click sound that they did. There was a lot of subliminal stuff. I love watching advertising. If you guys, it's like click, and then they'd be talking and nothing would be clicking, and they'd still go click, and you like it was all this subliminal messaging of like switching them on and off and hearing that sound. So, it'll be interesting. It was like a dog clicker. I don't know if you guys have ever trained dogs that way, but you have a clicker. It was like they were doing it to us. They're all click, and you're all okay, click, okay, I got you. Where's the bone? So I think, when it comes to design, we're all pretty happy with it. Whether it looks good or not, just because I mentioned that doesn't mean shit. I've owned boxes that played games, so my TV doesn't look like anything, and it plays games. It looks like a TV, so that's a moot point. When it comes to design, I think the only thing we need to worry about is longevity, strength, those kind of things. So let's talk about.
I will say though, Nintendo has a pretty good record on durability on their products, especially in like every Game Boy generation, even the 3DS is remarkably durable. I mean, you can drop it and it still functions.
I absolutely agree, but I can tell you honestly, from a design standpoint, this is far beyond anything like that. This is at least 3 breakpoints, which is crazy for a device. But I agree. Yeah, I mean, if there was anybody to trust, who else would we trust? I wouldn't trust Sony worth a shit. I wouldn't trust Microsoft worth a shit. It would be Nintendo, right? That we would trust for making something that was nuclear hardened. So let's talk about the tech for a second. There's rumors that it's the Pascal. There's multiple different rumors about what Tegra device they're using and all that kind of stuff. But the things that we do pretty much know from the rumor is that it'll be 720p when you're on the go, and it'll be possibly 1080p when you're sitting down and looking. Now, that would be backed up by the fact that if you guys look closely, there are active cooling vents on the top of the system. And the guess is that what this is a customized chip that runs at 1080p normally with active cooling, and then when you take it out, it goes to a sub 1080p to a 720p resolution on that screen, which is actually. So a lot of people get it mixed up and they think, oh, we've got a low power device and we're going to overclock it. No. What it looks like is they got a normally clocked device with some customizations to run 1080p to your screen, and then they underclock it. That's actually the height of reliability. That is how you make things reliable, because that means you are taking it from its high power state, which it is normally running in, to its low power state, instead of its low power state, and then plugging it in and overclocking the bitch. So in a way, you could say that this device won't ever be overclocked. It'll only be underclocked, which is, if you understand anything about overclocking and underclocking, that's highly intelligent from Nintendo's standpoint. The design looks, when it comes to the tech, active cooling, most likely by looking at the vents and how it's set up, it could either be a situation where there's been one rumor where you plug it in and there's a coprocessor, which would also assist to get to 1080p, because I think we all agree 1080p is minimum, right? If this thing was going to like,
Yeah.
720p on a TV, I think everybody would be absolutely just shitting themselves. So what did you guys notice? I want to see if anybody else noticed the issue that I noticed during the video when they took it off of the main system and put it on.
The frame rate was very low.
It dumped. Yeah. So my assumption is you're going to go to 30 FPS as well. And so hopefully what Nintendo has said is this. If you do it portable, you have to run it at minimum 720p and 30. It cannot run lower. And then on the dock, it has to run 60, 1080p, no lower. It's going to be a little jarring for some games because that was noticeable. That was highly noticeable. Everybody I talked to was like, whoa, what just happened? And your brain thinks it's worse, and it's not. It was 30. But your brain thinks that's 4 frames per second. You know, it wasn't that bad. But I think we were all accustomed to the higher frame rate the rest of the time. But tech-wise, like, I think Nintendo did a good job. They're switching to ARM, and it's not, you know, 86 like some of the other stuff, but actually I don't know. I think they did a good job. I think that if it is a Tegra device, obviously Nvidia was going to do the Shield 2, and this looks like the Shield 2, but just with Nintendo, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
So what do you guys think about the tech inside? How about this? What you saw, were you pretty happy with what you saw? We'll go back around the other way. GeauxBurns, were you happy graphically with what you saw?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's probably not going to be up there with the PlayStation Pro or the Xbox One Scorpio, but I think it will be competitive with the current gens. And regarding the dock, it reminded me of the Enterprise D, where it has the ability to separate.
Yeah, saucer.
You know, yeah, exactly. So I guess whenever it's connected, there's some stuff going on with the dock that makes it more powerful. So I mean, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I will also wonder, like, how many people are ever going to actually take it on the go, and how many people are just going to play it, you know, at home and never even bother to do any of that other stuff.
Or vice versa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would agree. What did you think? So if you see, would you be happy with 720p 30 on your handheld?
Yeah, I think I would be very, very happy with that. I mean, I know some people, you know, want more, but as long as it looks good and it plays fine, and I'm happy, you know. I mean, I guess because I'm old school like you know, playing from the old original Nintendo, you know, I'm okay with, you know, it not being the HDR quality.
Right, yeah. What about you, Silver? What did you think?
Yeah, I'm probably not the right person to ask because I don't really have that high graphical demands anymore. I'm basically satisfied.
That's fine. No.
I'm basically satisfied with the level we're at now. So I don't really have that high demands. I was very happy with what I saw. Yeah, graphically.
Yeah, because they showed Mario, Zelda, basketball. And it's funny, I looked at basketball closer than anything because basketball is probably a port of another game. And so I looked at that really closely to see, like, could you see, you know, did it look like lack of definition, blah, blah, and that actually looked pretty good. So so you're pretty happy with what you saw, you know?
Yeah, I think the main question for me really is going to be, from a technical standpoint, is going to be about stuff like controller docks, because Nintendo's strongest asset has basically been the social aspect of their consoles. You know, multiple people sitting around playing Mario Party or Mario Kart or whatever. How many controller ports is it going to have? Is it going to have a controller dock peripheral and stuff?
I think I saw 4 dots, which might indicate that, you know, with the Wii U and the Wii, you could also have up to 4 people. So I think they're also going to be doing the same thing with the Switch.
Gotcha. I didn't see that. So so that's a good question. Yeah, for sure. But so far, at least what you saw, you're pretty happy with.
Yeah, I was happy with it.
Yeah. What about you, Rejaku?
Yeah, I'm completely fine with it, but I'm also completely happy with my 3DS with a resolution of 400 by 240.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
so to you, it's
a bigger screen, but 720p on that screen is completely fine.
Yeah.
Especially clocking it down to 30 FPS as well, to have any chance of having the battery last more than an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another issue.
So let's talk about that. Yeah. The rumor is, there were some rumors that people were pretty unhappy, including Ubisoft, one manufacturer, and somebody actually at Nintendo were quoting 3 hours. Now, okay, so if it's 3 hours, that is not very good. I was expecting more along the lines of a minimum of 6, especially if you have the high power processor, you start cutting it down to get your 30 and get your 720p. I was actually pretty surprised when I read that, but it's unfortunately from the same people who were right about all these other rumors. So that's a little nerve-wracking. What do you guys think? Just going back around the same way, Rejaku, 3 hours. Let's say I said to you, and remember, whenever anybody says 3 hours, it doesn't mean 3 hours. It means 2 hours and 30 minutes before you start getting warnings. But we'll say 3 hours. Let's say at 3 hours you get your first warning from a full charge. What do you think of 3 hours, Rejaku?
Too low.
Yeah,
is what I think.
What would you like?
A minimum of 5.
That's exactly
because
what I was
if I think
too,
I'm hunting that kind of big thing around with me in my backpack or whatever to play on the go, to play on a train drive or car drive or whatever, and then I know that it only lasts maybe 2 hours after 100 recharges because it keeps dropping lower and lower as well.
Right.
That's not a good starting point.
Okay, gotcha. What about you, Silver? 3 hours. Go.
Yeah, too low. And basically, my estimation is the same as Rejaku. It's like 5 or 6 hours is what I would expect or what I would want.
Mm-hmm. And so, okay, I'll ask Go this, and then I'll ask you guys another question. What about you, Go? How many?
I feel the exact same way, and I sincerely hope that Nintendo has thought about this and has the ability for us to use, a cigarette lighter as a charger in a car, or plug it in at an airport or on a train, for example. Because if you're going on a trip with your Switch, it may last a little bit longer than 3 hours. So hopefully Nintendo's thought about that, and we'll have a means for us to keep it plugged in and play while we're on our journey wherever we're going, or with the kids in the back, yapping. Are we there yet? No, here's the Switch. Shut up and play.
Yeah, so I would say I agree. I'm actually even more of a staunch supporter. Maybe it's because, the devices I have really good battery life. That's why I buy them. Like, I will literally go for less power, more battery life, because my opinion is if you're going to set up to go on a trip and you're going to grab your video game system for that trip, there's an assumption that trip is going to last a certain amount of time or longer. And so therefore, your battery pack should have some kind of, there should be a calculation. You should be able to figure out and go how long of the trip, what percent of the trip is going to be covered by this battery pack. So unless everybody's just taking short jaunts to the next state, 3 hours is crazy short. So my hope is that they have the plugins. My hope is, though, that, and this will probably happen as they continue to release this and get prepared for March's release. My hope is they start to understand low power states, burst power states, and they start to do some finicky stuff, maybe with the OS itself, where they're like, okay, you're in a menu, we're dropping down like battery power to, even if it's just in the menu, but some games are menu heavy, like drop the power down. Drop the power, how do you do those things? What do? You have dynamic contrast, so you don't have to have the entire screen super bright. Those are issues, because as somebody who has a big tablet, when I crank that screen brightness up, you can fucking watch that battery just go like, peace out, bitches. You'll go if you turn it down to like automatic brightness. My tablet, I have a Tegra 4, by the way. My tablet will last forever. But if I start even just going like 1, 2, up to 100, you have 1, 2, 3. You start going up, you get about 15 or 20, and it's like that's a lot of brightness to and you're defeating sunlight, so you have to have it be bright, right? You're that's the problem.
Yeah,
I would agree. I would say that here's some things I want, and I'm sure you guys will not agree. I do not want rechargeable battery packs. I want us to use our own batteries. There's a couple reasons why. Because there are different companies that make better AA rechargeable batteries. And I know a lot of people like battery packs, but I got burned on those multiple times. The 360, for example, their battery pack charged 10 times, and then it started losing charge. And it was like Rejaku said, you charge it, and he was being really honest, saying 200. Man, my 360 battery packs lasted like fucking 12 recharges before I noticed. And I play a lot of games, but I'd be all, wait a minute. This lasted like 12 hours. Now it's lasting 9. Now it's lasting 7.
Yeah.
I would love for them to look at what the Xbox One does. Xbox One has some lower power states, and everybody is really happy with the Xbox One's power for their controllers. It's insane how long those last versus a PS4, which is 4 to 6 fucking hours. So my hope is that technology is out there for patents, and that Nintendo's looked at some of these things that have positive battery states and last for a long time. What do you guys think about battery packs versus not? So we'll go around the other way. Rejaku, battery pack versus your own choice. Which do you like better?
I always prefer my own.
Gotcha. And is that because you can choose, and you can charge them in any device, your own separate charger?
Exactly. I can use them anywhere. I can use my own charger. I can buy them everywhere, not just at special stores.
Well, I have to ask you guys, didn't you guys assume that was what was going to happen? Because otherwise, the controllers, how would you charge them? Would they have their own little mini battery pack? I mean, Christ, those things would go bad so fast.
Yeah.
So my assumption was it was a AAA or a AA, and everything was just going to be your own. But yeah. So you like the idea of separates just so you can.
Yeah, I never got why people always cried for, why doesn't it have a plug and charge kit or a fixed battery pack? Why isn't it built in? I'm like, are you mad? Then you can throw the whole controller away. Yeah,
right. Yeah. What about you, Silver? What do you think? What would you like?
The same as Rejaku, basically. Still an echo chamber for him. Yeah.
Silver, when it comes to the 3DS, what do you guys, does the 3DS allow for packs or batteries? On the 3DS.
The 3DS is built-in battery pack.
So what do you guys think about maybe your own plus, just like the Xbox 360, you can have a battery pack, or AA's go into something that looks like the battery pack and it plugs in? I like that. So you can have both. I think that's a good idea. Silver, how long does your 3DS last?
I don't even like 4 or 6 hours, I think.
And that's a dual screen. So look at the width and height of a dual screen versus one single screen, and you 4 to 6. Does that sound right, Rejaku? For you, you've charged it multiple times. I'm sure.
Yeah,
4.
Yeah, I would be 6 or maybe even higher.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
I think 4 is too low.
Gotcha.
It may be. I keep mine charged most of the time, so I rarely run out.
Right. What about you, GeauxBurns? What do you think about? Have you had good luck with battery packs? Or are you also a person who's like, no, I want my own?
I want my AA's.
Yeah, your own control.
That's how I feel. I mean, the prime example, some of you cited, the Xbox One versus the PlayStation 4. And I'll watch Netflix on my PlayStation 4, and I'll just sit there, and it's not doing anything. All I do is every 40 minutes, push the button for the next episode of, for example, Luke Cage. And only watch like maybe 3 or 4 episodes a night, and it already is down to 1 cell. And yet I can play on my Xbox One for hours and hours, and it might be down to 50 or 75%. There's just something about having the ability to put your own batteries into a controller, whether it's a AAA or AA, that I don't know. There's just something better about the lifespan. So I definitely think Xbox One got it right, and PlayStation 4 got it wrong in that regard.
Yeah, I think we're all probably hoping for more control versus less. I mean, now this is Nintendo, who are known for proprietary stuff. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, I think everybody needs to be well versed on the chances that they're going to be really unhappy with a couple things. When it comes to tech, is there anything else that we? I want to talk about 2 other things. I didn't see a LAN cable port at all. If it's wireless only, I'm going to be pissed beyond all belief. Beyond pissed, because I think that not only shows it, I think I'm going to be pissed because number 1, it's just not as good as plugged in, plain and simple yet. And number 2, because I think it will also show once again that Nintendo's not taking the social aspect into account, and the social stuff is really scaring me because here's your single controllers. You unplug them, walk around with your friends, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, do I have to enter a fucking 55-digit friend code on the buttons over here? Because what Nintendo needs to do is understand that people like one another. This is not their closed off mentality of like, you need a friend code plus you need an authorization code. It needs to be, I walk over and I come into a place and it says there are this many, people playing, open games with the Nintendo Switch. You want to join one or whatever?
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually quite nervous about the internet tech, the actual what it's got in it, because also, does it have advancements for the new types of internet speeds on routers too? Because we've seen this where if you do a wireless device that's internal, most of the time you can't switch them out. And if you have an older band and not the newer, faster bands, then you have that issue too. I didn't see any connections, nor did I see any holes for a connection. But that they don't show the back very often, so hopefully they were just like uncluttered Nintendo device and there's a LAN cable in the back. Do you guys have any worries or any thoughts on social like the technology for that and what you want or are worried about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for like the online components, because they're probably Nintendo's greatest weakness to me.
Right.
Their online functionality.
So if I came to you, Silver, and I was the head of Nintendo, and I said, we want to keep it somewhat safe, but we want to embrace the future, what are you hoping for? What would you hope when you turn on this system? What are you hoping for?
User friendliness for one thing.
But let's say
customer friendliness.
Let's say I come over to your house and I want to play
like
the game.
the fact that you don't lock games to one unit.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Because that was going to be my next point. Let's just for a second. What about the Wi-Fi and the social aspect? So I come to your house. What do you want the system to do when I come to your house with my little controller and my handkerchief and I pull it out of my breast suit and I'm like, we are going to be popular people playing games together.
You can register your Joy-Con or whatever with the console and we can start playing.
And just like maybe one or two steps at most.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's basically what I've done with the Wii U when I've brought it to friends' houses and stuff to play.
So you guys are hoping for a Wii U functionality, basically? No worse. You're pretty happy with the Wii U?
I can't remember the Wii U, but I never used it somewhere else. But the Wii I did, and that worked pretty well as far as I can remember. You had your little what's the figure called? Your little 3D Me, exactly. Stored on the remote, and you take it with you, and the account is basically saved on your remote.
And you're pretty happy with that?
Yeah, it worked well.
Okay, gotcha. All right. And what about you, Go? Did you ever go anywhere with a Wii? Did you have a Wii?
I had a Wii briefly, but I gave it to a friend of mine for his daughters to play. I like the idea of having some security, like, a friend request or something, but, there's a difference between, having to accept and then having to go through all these hoops and red tape and, jumping over, a bunch of bumps just to, play with other people. So I think there needs to be a balance there, but I think I like the idea of the way the Wii U is, according to Silver and Reg. So I'm hoping that that's what Nintendo will do for the Switch. You know what I'd like? No more than a 4-digit code on your controller, and you just go to. I've got a USB device which looks about the size of those fucking things. I'm just joking. This is smaller. But what I want to do is I want to go over to Rejaku's house. I want to fly to Rejaku's house and be like, "Sup, dude? Let's play some games." And then I fly Silver and Go, and we're all sitting there. And I want to basically go dink, and it says, "Do you want to enter a code?" And that's it. And of course, it'll be my bank code. So if anybody hacks that, they'll know how to get into my bank. Anything more than that, I think, is doing something that I've always thought Nintendo did poorly, which is elevating their own idea of the risks involved. They make it seem like it's more risky than what you're doing is more risky than it really is. They do for online. That's what especially. I mean. That's right. Okay. But because your examples so far have been the offline multiplayer part. Yeah, that is true. The thing for me is that because of this system, it's both. That's why I'm bringing this up, because technically it is both. If I'm online, if you bring. I mean, I guess it could be differently, but if we're playing a game where there's an online and offline component and you're at a pickup game and people are walking up to you, at some point that's online and offline at the same time. That's sort of why I'm bringing this up. I think now they've blurred the lines so let's say we all go to your house, Rejaku, and then we go to the park. Same thing. Like I'm saying I want it to work, right? I just want it to work. And also, let's be honest. You know what I want? I want the offline system to work the same way as the online system, actually. Like, that would be great. Well, the online system the same as the offline system, because the offline is that without the hurdles. Yeah. So I just want it to work. Like, I want it to be easy. I want me to be able to enter 4 zeros for my code and have it be like, okay, Jerry, you're signed in. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It'll definitely be. And then what about 2? What if we go to E3 and 2 people have, their switches next to each other, and I want to enter. How does it know which one of the two? Like, there's going to be some stuff that's going to be really interesting to see how the UI handles. So let's discuss usability when it comes to digital and physical media, because they are selling them on little cute flash drives. I don't know how they're getting them at a price that's
that's going to allow them to make those and still, like, a CD or a DVD costs 30 cents now, and these guys are doing full physical discs. But I have to say, allowing a gamer to have the physical disc is pretty friggin' awesome. For Colin, we haven't seen that. They're going back in time in a weird way. What do you guys think about physical disc? Are you guys all happy about that? Does anybody don't care?
I think for a mobile device, it's really the only sensible choice. Because with the spinning disc, I'm thinking of the PSP, where you could use it as a shooting device.
Yeah, we shoot those out pretty well. So are you guys pretty happy with the idea of those? I mean, anybody see an issue with solid state media at all? I mean, I'm happy that
the price of manufacturing. That's it.
Yeah. It makes you wonder what the price of their games will be. Like,
well, and it makes me wonder what the size limit will be.
Yep.
The largest the largest flash disk I have is 128. I know they go to 256 gigabytes.
Yeah, but at what price?
Exactly, that's what I was bringing up. Yeah, I mean, you're talking, wow, like, insane price for manufacturing. Now, a lot of people are probably wondering why we're talking about that. Well, somebody has to pay for it. Like, whether it be this, the developer has to eat that price, or Nintendo's doing a deal. I'm sure people are really happy Nintendo's doing this, some of those manufacturers, because they're like, one game will sell 100,000 units. We know we just sold 100,000, discs, so we can give Nintendo a deal. But how much of a deal can they give to where it offsets down to the cost of a Blu-ray? That's probably not going to happen. Now, have they stated that there's digital as well? Because I didn't see anything about that. Digital games. So
I would assume so.
I would assume so. They had for several generations now.
Yeah, I don't assume so. And I hope so, by the way. I'm just saying I don't assume, because they didn't even hint at it, which it was a short.
No, but they didn't show any online functionality at all.
No, that's why do you think I'm bringing up all that? This is the reason why I've been bringing up multiple online problems, because they didn't show anything. That is why I'm a little nervous about it. But it'll be interesting to see. Like, let's see. Did you ever have a PS? Did you have a PSP? Did you have?
I had a PSP.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I used to play the hell out of Liberty City Stories on that thing.
Oh, right. Are you pretty stoked about the physical media? Does it matter to you?
Being old school, coming from the days of cartridges, I'm very interested in the technology as to how far they've come from, back in the day of, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64, for example. But at the same time, I am concerned about the price tag for the, the manufacturing, even on a massive scale. And I mean, I'm kind of curious, is it going to end up adding to the price tag of the games? Right. Will the games be the same as the PS4 and Xbox One, $60? Or is it going to have to be $65 or $70? Yeah.
Or for the first time ever, will we see half price for digital? If that happened, I would poop.
I don't believe so.
I would poop. Yeah. I would legitimately film myself pooping. That would be the greatest thing ever if they were like.
But that's another question.
Oh,
like, if it is encouraged to get digital versions, I mean, what kind of memory are we talking about for this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't cover that either. What's inside?
Because I'll say this,
they've been on the low end for Nintendo.
Well, they better get to the high end, because like I got 500 gigs on my Xbox One, and that thing's almost maxed out. And I'm kicking myself for not having at least a terabyte.
Yeah, you know what I assume, and this is just an assumption, Xbox One and PS4 both have their positives and negatives, but Xbox One, due to the Microsoft ecosystem, obviously, or ecosystem, they do some things right, one of them being external hard drives. And it's fantastic. Like, it's literally, when you put one on a USB 3, you're just like, this is the greatest fucking thing in the world. So my hope is that Nintendo is just like, you get this, you format it in our way, maybe put some encryption on that hard drive, and it's USB 3 minimum. And, unfortunately, that means you would have to transfer a game to the handheld device if you wanted to move with it. But the question is, you got that tablet, that's your main device, right? How much memory? Ignoring the home tablet, guys, because that's not really that. You have to go with the minimum. The minimum is going to be your handheld tablet. How much is that handheld tablet going to actually store? I have a mini those little mini flash, and it's like, I think those also go to 256, and they're friggin' expensive. So what is Nintendo going to have inside the tablet? Yeah, that's huge. That's huge, because let's say it's 256 gigabytes. Call of Duty is 130. That's one game.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Well, no, it's actually 2 games, 130, because it includes the remake of Modern Warfare.
130. That is a ton, regardless.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, that's what we have to worry about is what
you're totally right.
What are you going to hold in that little mini device? And I think that's where the question starts coming up. Like, if these two devices are split off, which are your controllers, they can't have any memory. So, I mean, aside from probably memorizing your Wii avatar, whatever you want to call it. Now you've got this little tablet. Is there even a better device than what I'm using on my tablet, which is a mini flash? Is there anything that I don't know of, Store? I don't think so, right? That there's yeah. So, and there hasn't been any, unless somebody can correct me, there hasn't been any advances that Nintendo could suddenly have a new storage type. I mean, we're looking at those as being the most cost effective, and they're not. They're hideous when it comes to the price. I use one. I was blown away, guys. Like, it wasn't $1 a meg or $1 a gig, sorry, but it was $1 a meg. my gold fucking flash device. But yeah, so that'll be interesting. When it comes to the tech itself, does anybody have anything? Or I'm sorry, the games and the game, the way they're displayed. Does anybody have anything that they would want to see? Cheaper prices, of course, for digital. Which, I just, I mean, it won't happen. But would you guys, they didn't mention some stuff. Is there anything you guys were hoping for, or is a black hole for you of data where you want more data on something, especially when it comes to games?
Well, the thing that's worst with Nintendo is the games, the digital games are bound to the console, to the hardware idea, not your account. So I would very much like to see that changed finally.
So if I'm thinking correctly, that means if I took I keep calling it a Wiimote because I don't know what else to call it. But if I take my nunchucks to your house to play, you're saying that the game is on that tablet at home.
Yes.
So the only way to really play that game is actually bring it to your house, or you come to my house.
Yes.
Right now. Oh shit. Yeah. See.
Like for instance, I bought the new 3DS. I had the old one,
right?
And so I transferred data to my new 3DS,
right? And
all the games I have on my digitally on my new 3DS, I can't play them on my old 3DS.
No. That doesn't make any sense. Why?
Oh yeah.
You mean
because they're tied? Yeah, they're tied to my account, and I can't expand. I can only use my account. My Nintendo account on that one 3DS. I can't use it on multiple 3DS.
On one device.
How in the fuck does a mob-like behavior like that get okayed? Like that? I
have no idea.
That's straight up Gestapo, man.
And you can only move your data every 7 days.
Wow.
What the fuck?
What's up with that?
Okay, so now people might think I'm being negative here, and I'm not, because I'm really excited for this. What my negative is that commercial did not cover the one app. You can't have both. You can't say, look at our portable system that does portable stuff, and then not discuss the portability of the system and not show it. Even in a blurb, I would have loved a blurb, even if it's on the back of one of those chicks with, on the second story roof on the back, a projection that just gave some data. Like, we need something. There's nothing. There's no idea what some of this stuff's going to do. And I heard that investors actually dropped the price of Nintendo shares this morning because they were so unimpressed with the release. Now, that's not me, because I was really excited by what I saw, but I can see where they're coming from, which is like, dude, you can't have it both ways. You can't talk about portability and then literally not. I mean, there's no data there. You didn't even release a fact sheet. Do your trailer and then release a fact sheet right after with all that data so that websites can collate it and put it together for gamers.
Or at least have a presentation like they did with the PlayStation 4. Mm-hmm. With the creepy guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Cerny. Yeah. I love Cerny. I love Cerny, but, sometimes some people, we've seen it, where businessmen should not do presentations, and also techs who should really probably not do presentations. You got to get that guy in the middle ground, Okay, interesting stuff. Anything else about games before we move on?
Yeah, I have one thing that's pretty important for me for a Nintendo system, which is third-party support.
It had a ton. From what I see,
yeah, looks like it. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, well, let's
looks like definite improvement for Nintendo.
Skyrim. Skyrim was being played, and then they said we didn't really announce Skyrim, but we are announcing. There was some hubbub there. But you announced it by showing it fucking being played. Just back the fuck up. Skyrim's coming. Skyrim on a Nintendo console is pretty cray. Like that was awesome to see.
On a mobile Nintendo console.
Yeah. And let's be honest, if they are using the technology that is now the rumor, at least when you're at home, that thing's going to play Skyrim perfectly fine. When you're on the mobile, if they lock it at 30 and do the settings a little bit down, you're still going to be able to play. That's crazy.
I just looked up what the Shield tablet by comparison is doing. In power save mode, it locks you to 20 frames.
Yeah, so this is the Shield 2, technically. If you look at how Nintendo's doing things, you look at how NVIDIA was headed. I would assume 30's legitimately fair.
Hope so.
To assume, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the 2, and it's a more powerful system with more CUDA cores and all that stuff. I would assume you can get 30 out of that. But again, maybe that's the fight they're having, is getting 30 with a battery life that isn't 30 minutes. You know, maybe you have two types. I mean, no, that'd be. I almost said something really stupid, which is maybe you would be able to pick up the tablet and choose two types of power there as well, like high power, which is, you know, or low power. That's just confusing as F. So let's pretend. I'll cut that from the video. So games, third-party support, Ubisoft, Bethesda. There was a ton. There was even
From Software.
Yeah, we were just like, holy shit, From Software's on there. Dark Souls on a portable would probably kill the internet just because people would be telling everybody about it. They'd be like, I'm playing and I'm tweetering. That was insane. I was super stoked to see that a lot of people were on board. Now, we've seen that with the Wii, and we saw it with the Wii U, where people were supposedly on board and then sort of fell off. But I think that with the advent of mobile and other ARM devices and this, I think they're going to be fine with third-party support. I don't know. Does anybody worry too much about that, at least right now? It seems like
it's certainly promising.
Yeah, I don't see anything about it that really gives me one of those moments where you're like, yeah, that's bullshit.
I mean, it'll all depend on the launch,
Sales.
I think.
Yeah.
If the sales aren't good, you may see people abandoning it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's it about games.
That this might get a whole lot shorter.
Yeah, just like here's a list, and then next week it's like. Some people might be saying, why aren't we talking about first party support? I think they showed those. We've already said that they look great, and we're excited for it. So there's not much more to say about those. Let's talk about the release factor. March 2017.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Oddest effing release time ever. Missing Christmas, unfortunately. Anybody have anything to say about that? I think it's a bad move. I'd rather have it be a little bit more powerful and be in a Christmas time period. March is odd. March is odd. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're thinking summer. Maybe they're thinking this might be one of those summertime devices. We do know that a lot of shit doesn't get released in those months. Maybe they're thinking we're going to see what we're going to try to capture it all. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, it's basically a DARF in terms of the market. Yeah. You don't see a whole lot of releases there.
No, definitely.
So that might.
Yeah. Well, anybody else have anything to say about March before we move on?
Well, they release it in time so you can really take it outside again.
Yeah, that's true.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah. The weather factor. Yeah.
If they in some way market themselves as the summertime console, then the wintertime they have a good exclusive or two, then it could do very well. Yeah. If they're like, summertime motherfuckers, you're out playing your pickup game. It's too hot. I don't want to play physically. Let's play digital. It would be a bunch of us obese fuckers, and we just play. They you know what? I want to release an honest trailer for that. Like, where I'm alone and I'm just clicking my new Switch controller to play with people on the roof beside me, and then I look over and there's no roof because I'm built this close to the next house, and I'm just like staring at a wall, and there's nobody there. And you're clicking, it's like, how many people are near you within 500 feet? 0. Real names for their Wi-Fi, like, you're an effing slut.com, on their Wi-Fi. The horrible names you see on Wi-Fi's, you're just like, nobody will release an honest trailer. Do we have anything to add about the Switch before we move to Red Dead?
All right. Something to add.
Okay, go.
All right, regarding the release date, I think it actually might work because, for one thing, we have PlayStation 4 coming this Christmas, and they probably didn't want to compete against that, or maybe they still have some things to do with the Switch before it's ready. Yeah. And if this time next year we have the Scorpio coming out,
right,
they may have not wanted to go up against the Scorpio. Plus, if they happen to roll out some really good games with the Switch in March, say the new Zelda, hopefully, Skyrim, hopefully that's the special edition version of Skyrim, which makes me wonder if I should buy it for next week when it comes out. I'm still thinking about doing it. But, if they do that, along with some really good games, then they could actually make it something in March. Not only the system itself, but also really good quality games to play with it from the get-go.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I would say I agree. I would say that's pretty much what does anybody disagree with that? That's what I'm thinking too. Like, it's probably, I would rather have next Christmas, to be honest. But I think that summertime, let's test it out. They're the one company out there that has no problem taking risks, and nobody else is taking risks. I think a GTA or two has been released in a summer, if I'm wrong. Wasn't there?
It was supposed to be, but they delayed it to September. Yeah,
gotcha. I apologize. But I think there's been in the past a couple games that have. People do play games in the summer. We all like to pretend that, we're out, lifting weights and fucking, hanging with the cool people. But a lot of us are just like, I'm still inside.
There's a reason Steam has a summer sale.
Of course there is. Yeah. And there's a reason why it's so big. Yeah. It should just be called Fat on Your Ass Sale. Some people who are probably out there going like, he's calling everybody fat. I am not. Otherwise, I would have said you're all fat. So, anybody else have anything to add about the Switch? Go for it, Silver.
Given the times we live in, VR doesn't look like an option.
Unless it's the world's worst.
No.
It's a fucking Virtual Boy. Yeah,
you can strap it to your face.
You can
don't see in red for weeks.
Dude, remember, the controller thing? You actually, it has loops, and you just...
Exactly.
It'd be about as comfortable as a fucking Vive.
Yeah, it's sad. My friend actually bought one of those back in the day.
I know people had Virtual Boys as well. No VR. What about you, Rejaku? Anything to add about the Switch before we move on to Red Dead?
No, not really.
Okay. Nope. All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that. That was a lot of coverage for a very short trailer, but they did a pretty good job at showing some stuff. They certainly dropped the ball on showing others, obviously enough that their investors had issues, but I think overall, pretty excited. I think everybody's pretty excited. It'll be the first time I'll be covering Nintendo games ever, or on this channel. So that'll be fun.
Well, that's another question. Are they actually going to be a lot more friendly to content creators?
No, there hasn't been.
Probably not.
No, there hasn't been any word. I'm gonna bite the bullet on them and just do them and then not monetize them. And hopefully, I think that's okay. I think it's if you try to monetize them, you get strikes. If I put one up and I get a strike, then we'll cover it in international podcasts. So. And I'll just put those links in a different way. But yeah, it's I think Nintendo. Well, okay, so that's the entire thing I was talking about the social stuff that Nintendo hasn't shown. It shows a general lack of knowledge when in their own trailer they didn't show that kind of stuff in a system that is built on that. And then additionally, we don't have any more word on any changes going on the number one video entertainment site in the universe. Well, in my universe, which is YouTube. We have seen nothing about that. So, yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see what they do. I don't think we'll see any increase in their flexibility, but wouldn't it be nice if they were like...
Yeah.
Oh, it would be lovely.
I would love to let's play the new Zelda game.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it that, like, one of the major entertainment companies is like, no. Let's talk about Red Dead 2 and the trailer. So, I did a video. I don't have much more to say about it. But I did want to know what you guys thought. Yes, it's a short trailer, so if you don't have much to add, that's fine. But we'll go the other way around. Rejaku, what did you think about the trailer? Was there anything that caught you by surprise or you're interested in?
It was a huge tease.
Yeah, they named it right.
But overall, I'm very glad that we're finally getting a new one.
Right. Yeah.
And I hope it will be on the quality level of the original one. Yeah. Especially on the quality level of the zombie expansion, because I think that was one of the best story DLCs ever.
And unfortunately, I can't remember his name. You guys might remember, but the main writer who sued them, guy Benz, who basically went and saved their asses, and they even have emails where they're like, Red Dead's not making it. It's horrible. Can you come in? he's gone, obviously. So I worry about the same thing, like quality.
Yeah.
Just because it's a sequel and made by the same company doesn't mean that if their head people aren't there taking care of it, we're not, going to see some issues. What about you, Silver? Anything to add about Red Dead?
Yeah, it looked I thought it looked pretty. There wasn't really anything to get excited about in the trailer, I thought. But yeah, I'm happy it's getting a sequel. I'm just I'm a little concerned about some of especially the online portions of potentially of the game.
You mean shark bonds, shark cards on
shark books?
They'd be shark bonds in that game.
A little bit, yeah. I just hope Rockstar's learned from GTA Online and have maybe familiarized themselves with concepts such as game balance. Maybe that would be really nice, because I've been playing a lot of GTA Online the last couple of days, and the public lobbies are just a mess, especially with the new content they've rolled out for the bikers and the CEOs, forcing you into the public lobbies where you can lose your entire investment to a guy in a Hydra flying around, or a tank just blowing you away with one shot without being able to counter it.
Yeah, that part sucks.
Yeah.
That's why I always try and jump to a public lobby that has nobody in it. It takes 5 minutes, but eventually you can find a lobby like that. At least maybe add some friends to
why do you have to
join up with you.
Why do you have to do a public lobby? Why do you have to do that?
They just make it required now for all the VIP stuff, the CEO missions and warehouses, and now for the biker content, where for some reason you have to be in a public lobby. They haven't explained why. It just doesn't make any sense.
I understand the reasoning why, because there has to be risk involved. There would be no risk involved otherwise if other players couldn't zero in on you. But I think there's just no balance in it. I think the right way to handle it maybe would be if other players had to, because the thing of it is, when, for instance, you have a cargo, you have to deliver it. You've bought the cargo, and you have to deliver it in order to earn money for it. So the moment you go to deliver it, you pop up on the map. There's a lobby-wide message that goes out to all of the players in the lobby that you're here, and all the players then zero in on you and try to kill you to get your money. I think the solution would be that other players, instead of just popping up on the map, you would have to buy a Trackify or a tracker, buy access, so that you can track the other players.
Let's get it back to Red Dead. Get it back to Red Dead. Those are good points, because if you see that on a radar, there is no radar that should be available in Red Dead. That would be very game breaking. So I'm trying to think of what there was
even in Redemption in terms of the mini map.
But not in. You couldn't see everybody playing in online. If I had an online world in Red Dead, you're expecting Red Dead's online to have full radar capability? Because if so, that's a bad game design. And I don't see, because it doesn't fit in the fiction. I don't see that making any sense at all. I'm not saying they won't figure something else around it, but what you're talking about, if a site-wide lobby alert in Red Dead would be fucking odd, fictionally wise. It would be really weird. But the idea of, let's say, bank heists, where, let's say you do a bank heist and then somehow they send out, a telegraph to places and warn people, and you can go to the, or there's town criers who are like, there was a robbery that just happened in Thieves Landing. Oh, shit, I'm okay with that. But the radar, which is that instant visual impact, if that fucking happens, I'm going to destroy that game. Because there's a difference between a gameplay device and a gameplay device within a title that is fictionally makes no sense. And I've talked about it with HUDs and how if HUDs give too much data, it breaks the game. That would suck. Yeah. So those are good points. I'm going to keep an eye on those, because if that happens, if the multiplayer is like that, that's gonna be stupid. They need to build the fiction in, to where the things make sense, and they still give you the data, but maybe there's 2 steps instead of 1 step. I want 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of shit, but I'm sort of weird. But I want it to where that happens, a person has to report it to the constable. The constable then telegraphs the other cities, and then the other cities have town criers or bounty posters. Great.
Yeah.
Last seen at Thieves Landing. Oh, fuck, let's ride to Thieves Landing. So even though I'm saying Thieves Landing, it's because I don't know any of the new places.
Yeah.
Good.
Also, loading screens, too. 10 to 20% of your time in GTA Online is probably spent staring at loading screens.
GTA Online was built for the 360 because it had the most memory. the word is that because this is built for the 6. Okay, PS4 is the lowest, so 5.5 gigs for the PS4. I would hope that there will be very few.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I would hope there would be very few, because you're talking an increase of 50, 10%, something like that. Yeah, I don't know the math. What about you, Go? And those are good points, Silver, for sure. What about you, Go? What do you think?
Yeah, well, real quick, I remember playing the multiplayer for Red Dead Redemption on Xbox One recently, a few weeks ago, and I think they actually do show you where people are, and I do agree with you, Karak. I don't think it should show you. I think, for example, if you're near somebody and you happen to whistle, then you appear. It's like, because that would alert you, like, so-and-so's nearby, especially if it's a friend of yours. But I sincerely hope they consider that as a factor regarding the mini-map and the main map, that where you don't see anybody, because it adds more mystery to, like, who's around you, who might be around you, who's stalking you.
Definitely.
I mean, that'd be really sweet. But regarding the trailer, I mean, absolutely beautiful. And I watched it so many times. I mean, because I've been waiting for a while for a new Red Dead game. I'm surprised that they're going with Red Dead Redemption 2 as the title. I mean, it makes sense in a way from branding, because, Red Dead Redemption was so popular, and most people don't even know about Red Dead Revolver, unfortunately. I mean, they're not exactly the same game, but they do spiritually connect in some regards. But then you look deeper into the game and you realize that this is most likely going to be a prequel, because Red Dead Redemption set at the very end of the American Old West, and some of the technology in Red Dead Redemption 2 in the trailer points to more of a late 1800s vibe than early 20th century. So it seems kind of confusing to call it Red Dead Redemption 2, even if it is like a prequel set around the Dutch gang and younger John Marston. But I mean, I don't know. But I mean, that's my only real issue is the title itself. But I mean, if it's a fantastic game and 9.5 times out of 10 Rockstar delivers on that, unlike other games that they give out a trailer and it ends up looking nothing like the game. I feel like I have a lot of faith in this new game from Rockstar regarding the new Red Dead game. So I think it's going to be awesome, hopefully.
Yeah, I do want to clarify something, because people saw my teaser discussion where I said, we don't know what this is on, and people are like, oh no, official PlayStation said it was on. The moment somebody from an official Twitter says something, don't believe them. Ever. The history of gaming is lies. I'm just being honest. The history of gaming and trailers is lies. Now, people think that means, I think, that the PS4 was not playing that. That's also not what I mean. What I'm saying is, you don't trust but verify. That's how Ollie North fucked over Ronald Reagan. What you do is you just be optimistic, but at the same time, very, very, very carefully optimistic. And the issue is what I saw did not look like it could not be on a PS4, but there were certain things that if you looked very closely, which I do, there were situations in which things looked like they were probably dialed up to 11 a tiny bit. And what that means is, let me give people an example of how a trailer is made. We've had developers on the channel talk about this, so this is not me talking out my ass. A trailer is made many times without the AI being on, without multiple different systems being run, and so what you have is more resources for the infinite draw distance we saw, which has never been in any game ever. There is no game currently out on any system that has that kind of infinite draw distance. And infinite shadow distances on a thing like a PS4 is already an issue. We know that. We know it's an issue on the Xbox One. What I'm saying is there's a good chance when you cut a trailer, you turn everything else off. We know that. That's how trailers are made. And so what I have is a little bit more. So when somebody says it was running real time on that's not the same thing. That is not the same thing as it is the game running in its native way, and that's how it'll be delivered to you. Now, do I believe that the PS4 and Xbox One can't show that? I believe there were only two things I saw that looked shady. The draw distance with the infinite bushes, that's pretty shady just because we know of the memory allocation issues and shadow issues that have cropped up. And the AA that they were using looked very, very odd to me. Anti-aliasing that they used, and I don't know if Rejaku and Silver, who are more, well, Rejaku's more of the PC person like myself. That AA at times.
No, I'm PC as well.
I'm saying we talk about the tech, the in-depth tech.
No,
stuff.
that's totally true.
The artificial or the anti-aliasing at times around like leaves. There was some shimmering, like it was using TXAA or something like that. But at the same time, it was at some points it looked like it was done post-process, because there were times where it looked normal, like anti-aliasing we get in a game that's really good. We've seen Uncharted do some spectacular anti-aliasing, which is also a very linear, non-open world game. Let's put those two together. I don't know. There was a couple things that just looked like they made it and then they added some passes, which they can do. They can still say it's on the fucking PS4 or the Xbox One. So people need to make sure that when I say that, I'm simply being optimistic, but at the same time incredibly careful, because we've been burned by every friggin' company. And people don't think we were burned by Rockstar, motherfuckers. Go back and look at GTA 5's original release where they showed the orchards where like people were wearing bandanas and picking apples. That shit is not in that fucking game. Look at there's multiple different buildings that they showed that are in the game that look nothing like what that original trailer showed. Rockstar's done it as well. That's the thing that we should all remember. There is nothing wrong with being optimistic but cautious about it. People want to just go and hug them the moment we have this kind of situation, and then I try to remind them about Mafia 3 and be like, dude, what are you fucking doing? Like, what are you doing? You can't be burned once. It's like an abusive relationship where it's like, I love you. No, I still love you. Why? Why? At least duck, right? At least duck. That's all I'm saying. So, what do you think to that, Rejaku? Knowing a little bit more about tech than some.
In some of the scenes I've seen there, I thought, that's not real time.
Touched up,
that's not real time graphics. Yeah. That's at least post edited, if not completely rendered somewhere else.
Yeah, there was a couple things. I think it was probably real time. The particle effects were fairly poor, which was easy to see. And when I slowed it down on my trailer analysis, you could see the particle effects were messed up. They're nowhere near like CGI level, of course. But I think that most likely, some things were shut off and then it was run, and that's okay.
Yeah. Or it ran at 10 frames per second and then they sped it up.
Yeah, because did you guys notice that? It was a 30 FPS video. Multiple people have brought up the oddity of that. Did you guys realize that? Video, the official video is 30 FPS.
Wow.
That is and multiple people were like, wait, what? Like, is that? Now, I'm not saying that they're not going to go 30 FPS. They may, but what Rejaku's talking about there, that is a legitimate process people have used in the past. We'll see. Again, I hope people understand not being negative for negative sakes, being negative for history's sake, or cautious. And
no sign of any PC version. That's
you know what?
No, but we didn't get that with GTA 5 either.
No. Yeah, I think they're gonna roll it out eventually because of how popular Red Dead Online is most likely going to be compared to Grand Theft Auto Online.
What Rejaku's saying is we're probably going to look at the same double dip bullshit we saw before, where
Rockstar,
triple dip.
Triple dip. Rockstar's not stupid. Rockstar got the first swimming pool of gold, and they were like, whoa, one swimming pool works really well. And then they got a second, and they were like, let's try a fucking third. And they got a third. I mean, the amount of money they made on a triple dip is insane. And I would say that every person I know who owns GTA 5, every single person has at least 2 versions. And most have 3. Yeah. No, I mean, like the hundreds of people in my
raise my hands.
Have 3. So, man, I know people who bought GTA 5 and a console for GTA 5 when it came out for the Xbox or the PS3, because at that time they were a little cheaper. There were some deals you could get. So let's talk a little bit. I think that's about it. It does look like a prequel. They have arc lighting, but that's 1885 and after, as well as telegraphs. The train looks older. The windmill, the build of the windmill is the right time period for it being a prequel. It looks like John and his wife. If you look on the far right, the lady... Supposedly, I say lady in yellow, but that's because nobody else has shadows for cleavage, which she does on her shirt. There's a darkening where it looks like she does have breasts. I said this. I don't think this is right, but do you know what I wish this was?
What?
The way they had it shown, and they showed the 7 protagonists in cutscenes entering the game. I talked about it in my teaser. If you count the number of entries, there's 7. I would love it to be a bounty hunter, where you're actually going after Butch and his group, because occasionally you're like, am I the bad guy? Is that a bad guy? Because like he comes into this place and everything's on fire, all this stuff. It would be so amazing to either do... Rockstar has shown that they don't have a problem messing around. They had 3 protagonists. What if it's 2 protagonists, but it's a good guy and a bad guy? What if you play as the bounty hunters or a bounty hunter that took down some of Butch's gang? Because we don't know enough about how they got taken down to the point to where Butch but left
kind of like an Indigo Prophecy or Call of Juarez
thing. Can you imagine, like, how cool that would be to have some scenes where, you know, the only problem is if it's an open world game and they do what we expect, I would assume you're going to be able to buy cabins, or, you know, you're going to be able to have a longevity standpoint. Then that probably won't happen. But it would be so cool if they were like, you know, hunt and the Nemesis system, but in Red Dead, where those 7 guys all had their own unique locations. You know, you could do some crazy stuff. So
what I would like if there was like 2 different characters, and this was what I was kind of hoping that Grand Theft Auto 5 was going to be. It obviously wasn't, where you could play the entire game as one character.
Me too. Yep. I know,
and then you can go back and play as the other character and get a completely different experience. And I do have a question that you may be able to answer regarding the double, triple dipping. Like, they're going to release it for Xbox One, PlayStation 4. Chances are probably PC as well. But would they be necessarily obligated to release a version for the Pro and Scorpio, or would we be able to simply just take the disc and just put it over there?
Yeah, the reason why they didn't have to even say that they were on the Xbox One and PS4 Pro is because both companies have stated that their mandate is that, well, Xbox has gone a little shady, actually. They've been like, yeah, you could make a Scorpio-only game. But for what we're hearing, the mandate is PS4 Pro, it has to be both compatible both ways. Yeah. So we know for a fact the PS4 side will be that way, and I don't see Microsoft fucking up and saying you're gonna have
that'd
to
be a bad move.
Yeah. Unless it's so much more powerful as a system, which it is pretty powerful, that the textures and this crazy amount of stuff is either not there or doesn't fit. But you know what? If I were Microsoft, I would still work through that and say, listen, your old version works, but the new textures are going to be downloaded. You know, like a DLC. It's going to be the Scorpio DLC, and you have your Scorpio. You put in the old game, and you know, people are used to. People may hate that download, but it's better than buying it for $60 again. So yeah, it's a very good question, but I think the companies have tried to make sure that won't happen. It will be for those. It's great timing. Sony did some deal where it's like you can earn multiplayer items faster or before anybody else. From what I saw of the way they're doing that, that's really actually a very shoddy exclusive deal. I was reading it going like, okay, like that's the leanest of exclusive deals I've seen. I'm more interested in seeing how the Pro and the Scorpio, especially in fall, like how those run it, you know, like that could be pretty insane to see that on a Scorpio. Like, will we see 60 frames per second? Will we just see everything up-resed and you know, major improvements to textures? Yeah, it's going to be. And let's talk about PC. It's going to happen. I right now, I'll just say I don't see any hint that it won't. I just see that they're doing the same thing they did with GTA 5.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't want to rush it out because they may make the same mistake that they did with Grand Theft Auto 4 or most recently Batman Arkham.
Right. Yeah. They want to do a good release. Yeah. And who knows? 6 months from now, they could say, okay, we're ready. And let's announce the PC version too. I think they've announced so early, 1 year early, that they have
burned them.
Well, yeah, but they have a lot of freedom too. They have a lot of freedom to change their plans and add in. For example, okay, I got a question. Do you guys think we'll see it on the Switch?
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, you know, Grand Theft Auto 5 on the Switch, but you know, probably not Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because that's like the biggest game announced on the same day as the newest, biggest company releasing their console, and yet there's a really good chance, technology-wise, we will not see those two share. No. We'll see though, because a Pascal, a temporary or a normally clocked but customized chip like they have is actually very close in many ways to the Xbox One original. So we could see a version. It would be a version. You know what I mean? It'd be one of those things where like
if it's a version, then Rockstar's probably not going to waste their time with it though.
I don't know, man. It depends on how Nintendo does in March. You know, sure. I mean, if they have like a Wii-like success, because this is a pretty crazy kind of system. If they're like, yeah, we sold, 20 million in whatever, then there's a good chance that, Rockstar will be like, hey, a fourth swimming pool does not piss us off, because they're like dolphins. I bet they're like from one swimming pool to the other and shit. They're just like,
especially if they couple it with some kind of Pokemon thing or something, maybe.
We just went off the rails completely.
Yeah,
what?
Just a little.
Red Dead Pokemon? What do you mean?
No, the Switch. for the launch.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
Red Dead Pokemon would be the craziest
No.
shit in the world.
Yeah.
Go catch this horse. It's a thoroughbred.
Yeah.
Okay, I get your idea. Wow, because dude, you had me going. I was like, what the silver? Holding on to the bong too long. But, anybody else have anything to add about Red Dead at all? I'm excited. That's all I can say.
I would never do that, by the way. I'm a passer.
Yeah, I'm excited. There is a ton of awesome stuff that it looks like it's going to have. It's going to be really interesting. But as Rejaku said, just because it's a sequel, like we have to.
That's true.
Don't want to get too.
Don't give your hopes completely up.
Yeah, because it could be one of those games where, next year at this time we're like, oh no, I mean. What was the game Mafia was like that, where it was like, I liked a lot about it, but it was like, oh no, this is, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is not, unlike Battlefield, which turned out to be, really good. It all is sort of up in the air. Let's talk a little bit before we shut this down. Does everybody have time to discuss the games that we've been playing real quick? Okay.
Sure.
So games we've been playing. I've been playing, Civilization 6. I know Rejaku has as well, so I want to hear what he says. But we'll go the opposite way. Go. What have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing Mafia 3.
Oh, gotcha. And you beat it.
Yeah, I beat it, and I have the final episode of my Let's Play going up tomorrow morning. So
Copy that.
Finally done with it. And I'll continue to cover Mafia 3, like the free updates whenever they roll those out, and of course the expansions. And hopefully Hangar 13 will have a patch coming out soon that may fix some of these issues, maybe not all of them, because I guess that's hoping for a little too much. But yeah, I mean, it's a great game, great story, great characters. It's fun, but yeah, I feel like they could have spent a little bit more time, working on it and, roughing out some more of the issues.
Yeah, I mean, you gave a game, 9 out of 10 batarangs or whatever. What would you give?
Well, you have to find out Sunday.
Okay.
I'm doing my own little review video, but I'm also going to plug your review video because my review is a little bit different. So I'm going to do like pros, cons, for my opinion about the game itself. So, but I got something funny planned for my my rating. On the rare occasion I do rate a game, I do something silly because obviously I'm not a professional reviewer like you.
I'm not professional, dude. What are you talking about? Silver.
I'm double A by comparison.
Silver, what about you? What have you been playing?
GTA Online, as I mentioned the last couple of days. Also,
Never expected you to say that.
a little Project Cars.
Gotcha.
And yes, I'm struggling to remember. Total War Warhammer, the new content, The King and the Warlord. That just came out here first yesterday.
You like it?
So far, yeah. Interesting warlords. Like there's a dancing orc shaman who's pretty funny. So that's pretty funny.
There's a Red Dead Pokemon in there. it's just mixing the weirdest shit.
Yeah.
What do you never want to see in life? An orc stripper. Just saying.
No.
It doesn't matter which way you swing, or if you swing all ways, you do not want to see an orc dancer, an orc stripper. Anything else?
Still some Pillars of Eternity a little bit.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. What about you, Rejaku?
Mostly Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
A little bit of Civ 6. Yeah,
you were
and a little bit
about
of Phoenix Wright again.
Let's talk about Battlefield for a second. What do you think? You enjoying it?
Yes, I am. Funnily enough, I've noticed more bugs in Battlefield 1 than I have in Mafia 3.
Wow.
But Mafia 3 is by comparison running fairly bug-free for me, hearing from others at least. Overall, I like it. It's not World War 1, but we knew that for some time now. It's basically a nice skin for it.
Yeah, it's a re-envisioned version.
Yeah, exactly. But from the gameplay itself, it's pretty much like the modern ones.
Yeah.
So
you're enjoying it though. Feel like you got.
I am enjoying it. I've very much enjoyed the previous one, the previous proper one that is Battlefield 4, not counting Hardline. And yeah, the single player is. I'm not sure about the single player.
Yeah.
You get to play as a pigeon, man.
Yeah, great.
Dreams come true.
For like 4 seconds.
What is that one mission like to take out these flag towers with your airplane? Yeah, smart move. Thank you. That's how you do it, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to Battlefield, like despite its historical inaccuracies, it's still fun. And that's what's cool about Battlefield is like, it sounds like even despite the bugs you're getting, it's still fun. And that's the thing about Battlefield is like it's not a classic, but a lot of it is just really, I really do enjoy the operations. I definitely enjoy operations. I think that's a really fun multiplayer component. Single player component was fine to me once I cranked up AI, but at the same time, the AI is very poor regardless. But
it's a shooting category. Yeah.
It is. I think I said something like whack-a-mole in my review.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It's just like pop up, boom, pop up, boom, pop up, boom. And you're like, wow,
Yep.
man, these guys are
Shooting against the tank. Pew, pew, pew.
Oh, dude.
So, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, they've got their little handgun out there and they're like standing. First of all, the ricochet killed all their friends. They're just like, gah, 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 gah. I love the Zeppelins in multiplayer, the stupidity of them, blowing them up, lighting them on fire. Like I said in my review, bringing that fat bitch down. There's very little in that game that I feel more like happiness because they have some pretty heavy weaponry. And if they get a beat on you, and they don't always, but when somebody up above sees you and starts firing, like if you don't watch what you're doing, they can kill you pretty easy. But lighting those suckers on fire and watching them like slowly break apart is friggin' fun. But it's not a classic. It's just a good game. It's just a good, enjoyable game. I think I was going to mention one other thing that I was playing.
Civ 6.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about Civ 6 because I know that, Rejaku wasn't necessarily complaining about the game. He was complaining about aspects of it in our Discord.
Yeah, Discord.
Which there are some issues there. I actually, though, so Civ 6, so that people don't, like, Civ 6 is weird. And here's one of the reasons why. It is literally another Civ game, but with expansions already in the base game. There is so much going on in Civ 6 compared to any other base title. And it's funny because Rejaku's complaint in one of the last multiplayer was exactly that. He was like, you know what I want? I want to jump into the base next game and have it be equivalent to the prior game with DLC. Despite issues that he or I may be having with it, because I have a couple as well. The one thing that they nailed is, man, when you get into that game, you're like, wait, what? I mean, there are systems on top of systems. And yeah, it can be a little daunting, but it's almost like they were listening to Rejaku in the last international podcast, and they were like, that guy with the cool accent's got something right. Let's do it. And I like that. I think that's one of the best parts about the game. I'll say this. If depth and like options are your gig, then Civ 6 is not steering you wrong. One of the things that it did seem like you didn't like still, you don't like the graphical presentation too much, is that correct? Was I reading that right?
Seeing it in action, I like it better than I did from the screenshots.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I know.
And it runs perfectly fine as well. I'm getting like 200 frames per second, so whatever. I'm not yet at a stage where I'm having tons of units move around or something, so I'm sure that frame rate will be dropping. But it's at a good place. Some gameplay aspects I'm not too fond with.
So give me the one that makes you go, ah!
The builder.
The builder.
The damn builder.
He was ripping on the builder.
Yes, I was ripping on the builder.
Explain it to viewers.
That just builds 3 things and then goes, poof, I'm gone.
They're just spent. They're like, okay, that's it. I quit.
Yes, they're spent. Yeah. You can build 3 improvements and then they're dead.
It was hilarious. Like yesterday at Discord, he was just bitching about that. And bitching about I'm declaring war on you. Okay, goodbye.
Oh, that was also fun, yes.
What? Say that again?
That the Germans declared war against me, so surprise war declaration. And the only button you have is goodbye. I was like, fuck you, goodbye is the wrong answer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's like, I'm declaring war. Okay. It certainly does have what I think is a couple little issues here and there. But overall, I would say that for what it's got going on, it's a pretty stout title. I haven't really given I'm probably never going to give my what do you call it, my I'm probably never going to do a proper review because I just don't have time. And they
no, that's a time sinker.
They gave it to me way late, and so I just returned it to them and bought it. I had already bought it, actually, is what had happened, because they just wouldn't respond to my email. So I was like, I'm buying it. And then yesterday they're like, here's your early release copy. I'm like, motherfucker, yeah, like 6 hours.
That's not early. Yeah,
that's like. I get it. I'm not a website that can pretend I've played it all and not really do it and just supply 3 screenshots. So, whatever. I think if you like Civ games, it's a game to definitely check out. There's some issues here and there, but there's a lot fucking going on. Easily the most laden with content Civ title upon release that I've ever seen, and by a good amount. Like, I don't see another game like this coming out where they have this much stuff going on, which I think is really cool for Civ people. Because, when you buy a Civilization game, you want your civilization to take particular steps that civilizations take. So when you have to buy DLC packages for like politics, you're like, wait, what the fuck am I buying DLC? Why did I not have this originally? I'm exaggerating. It wasn't politics, but that stuff's in there, which is great. Go ahead.
That reminds me of something.
Yeah.
Talking about the expansion. I know. The last expansion they released, the DLC, they pulled that back, refunded everyone because it's part of the season pass now.
Oh, that's nice of them. I mean, stupid, but that's cool that they did it.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's stupid that they got that idea after releasing and selling it.
Right.
But it's good that they did.
Yeah. It's funny. You wonder what a development meeting must be like. It's like somebody says something, but 2 people are in the corner talking about like girls and shit, and they don't hear it, and they hit the release button, and then like weeks later, somebody's like, "Wait, we released that already? How the fuck?" You sometimes wonder just how many monkeys are running some of these companies to make those mistakes. I mean, and let's be honest, it's certainly not the first time where we've seen games leaked before, where somebody like accidentally updated their Twitter on the wrong time. We've seen some crazy shit where you're like, who's running these fucking companies? Go ahead.
To be fair, it was well communicated, the season pass at least, because from the start they said it will include these 2 expansions, and that was the 3rd expansion, which wasn't included from the start in the season pass. But because so many people still complained, obviously they now packaged it in.
Gotcha. Okay, well, hey, you know what? At least so maybe it wasn't them being stupid. Maybe it was them being greedy. Great, one of the two. Do we have anything else to add about the industry or about what we're doing before we close this sucker up?
No, I just have one question about Civilization for Rejaku. I hear they removed the Earth map. Is that true?
Earth map. I'm not sure what you mean.
As a starting map.
Ah, okay. Sorry, I haven't checked. I went in and said quick play. I didn't even choose which civilization I got.
You know what?
I got Egypt.
So did I. I just hit the quick play because I got it so late. I just wanted to see what the game was like. Yeah, I don't know. But that would be odd. I mean,
yeah, it's been in every civilization. It's how I play Civilization. So
no, can't tell you. Sorry.
Yeah, you sometimes wonder, I always say, oh, they must have numbers for this, right? They must have metrics. But sometimes I think that, a lot of the shit's just riding on the, seat of your pants. Oh, okay. Oh, actually, one thing I do want to add. People were asking, let's see. Am I going to do a PSVR review? Maybe. So that's not a good answer, but maybe. Am I doing PSVR game reviews? Yes, but this is Sony, so I would expect an incredibly difficult time. And if the reviews are late, I don't know if I'll be doing them. There's some issues there because Sony is notoriously very fickle. The headphone reviews are a little late, and I'm getting to those. Will I be doing a Civ 6 review? I already said most likely no. Titanfall 2, I'll know by the end of the day, and I'll tweet that if I'll be doing it. What else do we got coming out? I think that's... Oh, Skyrim. I would say no for Skyrim. Skyrim has always actually sort of bothered me, the remastered version, when it comes as a reviewer, because it's like...
Yeah.
The problems with Skyrim are many-fold, and I love Skyrim, but bugs can be found hundreds of hours after gameplay. Like, it's hard to review it and say, okay, you know, blah, blah, blah. And this is also remastered. So it's going to be a ton of the same content, right? Just like the exact same game, plus some stuff, plus mods that they didn't turn on yet. So that game is up in the air when it comes to a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of reviewers who are like, I'm just going to probably do a short video on it. It's one of those remasters that sounds great, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are looking forward to it. I might just do a warning video if it sucks. Maybe that's what I'll do. And that's, I think, it. There was a bunch of let me just check my Twitter real quick, because I was getting a ton of questions about what I was going to cover. And in all honesty,
1 month till PS Pro.
Okay, will I be covering PS Pro? Yeah, those will be integrated into any review if there's a PS, because I'll have the normal PS. Oh, geez, Twitter's dead because of that. Oh no, yep, dead. Yep, dead.
Rip.
Yeah. So will I be doing those? Yeah, I definitely will be doing those reviews, but they're just going to stick directly in with any normal review. I'll be checking the game out on just like with Scorpio. Be checking just like with Xbox One S, which is a little faster than the original. So. All right. Well, that's it for us, I think. I appreciate everybody watching. I hope we covered as...
No, sorry. Just wanted to say always a pleasure.
Yes, pleasure.
I wasn't even done with the closing yet.
No, that's why I stopped.
Let's start back over.
Like we're starting. Sorry.
This is the silver closing number 2. I want to say thanks to everybody who's watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching what is a unique international podcast, because we didn't cover a lot of the stuff, but we did cover Switch and Red Dead. If we didn't cover what you wanted, please post in the comments, and I will make sure that we do so. Also, check out GeauxBurns stuff. He's doing the finishing up of Mafia with today. Wait, when's the finish video go up?
Saturday, and the review will go Sunday.
Yeah, okay, great. So make sure to check out his stuff, and that's it for us. Go ahead, say what you want to say. Say goodbye.
Always a pleasure.
Goodbye.
All right.
Bye.
Peace out, everybody. Thanks for watching.